Welcome to a new anime review series. This one I'm reviewing Toriko. Yep, yeah, the series that's all about food. Yep, I'm reviewing the anime based upon the manga that ended almost 2 years ago. Yep. So for this particular review, I'm reviewing the first 22 episodes of the anime and the prequel film, the film that takes place just prior to episode 1, which is, well, even though it's a 3D film, I watched it in 2D. It's I find it here. It is the Kaimaku Gourmet Adventure. Let's start with that one. This one is just, well, this kid from this village who hires Toriko to take out this bird, which he's familiar with, which is called the Gerard bird, and they go on an adventure to the village, and then of course they bring some meat as well. Of course, he also Toriko also teaches this guy to hunt, and he brings some meat back to the village, and then of course the bird comes in. Toriko fights it, and of course I watch this film sub, in case you're wondering. Fights the bird, defeats it, and you're like, okay, this bird is here because it flew away from its natural environment, flew away by the elephant bear. Yeah, there's a creature in this series known as the elephant bear, which seems like a cross species between an actual elephant and a bear. As a matter of fact, when it makes it sounds like an actual bear. And then when they actually see this thing, it's like, okay, we have the 4 regular legs of an elephant, and it has the fur of a bear, but it has the head of an elephant. Yeah, it's one of the most bizarre looking creatures I've ever seen. Of course, they beat it, and of course, they chop it up later. Of course, this creature, the giraffe bird, does come back in the actual series, which I'll talk about in a minute. And of course, it's like, okay, after like a while, like I was saying in the village, of course, the little boy goes with him to hunt down this elephant bear, which apparently hibernates and sleeps for 15 years and comes back and attacks everything. Yep. Toriko takes it out. Of course, they do it, and after they defeat it, of course, they do a time skip. Like I'd say about a month later, boy brings some meat out. Of course, when you first see the boy, you see him first, and he's looking for Toriko. Luckily enough, his friend, who's a owner of a boat owner, introduced him to him. Basically, brings the island to where Toriko is, and Toriko is wearing the outfit he wears like in the Regal Mammoth arc, which is like his orange vest and like black t-shirt. Yeah, he actually wears this thing for a good majority of the anime, which I'll get to the first major arc in a minute. But yeah, and of course the way the film ends right where episode 2 starts. Yep. But then when we start the actual series, it's not like you can think, okay, episode 1, maybe it's an adaptation of the manga. Nope, it's a crossover with One Piece. Yep. And I kind of review this thanks to talk about this One Piece, but I want to talk about a little bit more. Yeah, I'm like, okay, you start off in the anime. To celebrate the anime, you have a crossover with the popular One Piece. Okay, fine. Now, the only reason why this crossover happened is basically because the creators of both One Piece and Toriko are old friends. Yep, they're very good friends. Though the creator of One Piece, Oda, is also friends with Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, which, when the series ended for Naruto, he decided to put Naruto in one of the cover stories for One Piece. Not a pretty good idea. Though he didn't do that for Toriko for some reason. Yeah, it's like, okay, Toriko ends in 2016, and yet I've read all the chapters of One Piece, and yet no special tribute for Toriko. It's odd. The Toriko managed to end pretty much around the same time that Akame ga Kill ended. Yeah, I think it was Akame ga Kill, and I'm trying to think, it was like one. Oh yeah, and Bleach. Yeah, it's like 2016. It's like a year where several manga series just ended. Actually, no. Yeah, actually, it was that one. Yep. And pretty much in this one, you don't get a chance. Now, this one, for some strange reason, this Sci-Fi Filmation did have the rights. I think at this point to dub One Piece. I figured though they would have the rights to dub Toriko at this point. And this thing came out in 2010, and the dub started in 2013. I'm like, why in the world would you skip this episode for? I mean, it is a good episode. If you combine it with One Piece, it's a 50-minute episode. Yeah, it's like an hour long, but It's a fantastic episode and everything you expect. Though, of course, they do introduce a lot of characters early on before the series. So, like, besides Toriko and Komatsu, who was introduced in episode 1, you also have Terry Cloth, Sunny, Coco, and Reen. Yep, these 4 characters get introduced early. And from Toriko's perspective, I don't know when in the world in his series does this particular arc take place. In the case of One Piece, it's before Sabaody, which I'll get to the second crossover when I get a chance to get up to, and I'll talk about when the placement for that one is. But overall, it was a fun crossover, and I highly recommend people who are a fan of One Piece. Though I kind of wish Filmation would have dubbed this. It would have been interesting to see. Of course, I should mention the actor who voices Brook in the dub for One Piece is the same actor who voices Toriko. Yeah, it's the same guy. It's Ian St. Clair, who not only voices Toriko, he also voiced Whis. He's also the current voice for Whis for Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, it's the same exact guy. Yep. Tommaso in the Filmation dub, he's voiced by Josh Run, who, those of you Attack on Titan fans, he voices Armin. Yep, the blonde hair guy who a lot of people think is a girl. Yeah, he does the voice. He does the voiceover for him. And he also does. Let's see if I can find it here. He also does Blacksnake Hughes from Fairy Tail. Yep, a few people from Fairy Tail are in the series. Reen is voiced by Leah Clark, who voiced Kobe from One Piece. Yeah, the pink hair, scaredy, like cowardly crybaby from One Piece, who basically kind of aged and put on a lot of muscle and became a captain later on in the actual series. Yeah, Leah Clark, a woman, voices this little boy. Nothing unusual there. A lot of times, basically, little boys in anime are voiced by women. Yeah. But her voicing her, yeah, and I'll get to how funny she is in the anime soon. Let's see. They also have Tina voiced by Morgan Garrett. I don't really know what she's. I looked up her work. I'm not really familiar with her. Yeah, Tina is an anime exclusive character who first appears briefly in episode 2, but she takes more part in episode 3. She's an absolute delight of a character. I don't think that she hits the part at all. I mean, yeah, a lot of the stuff basically she does is bit filler, but it's interesting filler. Yep. Now, the first episode is the episode 2, which is kind of like the first proper episode of the series. This was an adaptation of the first 2 chapters of the manga, the Galala Gator arc. Now, it starts off very differently from the manga, where in the manga, people from IGO approach Komatsu to go to Toriko to this island. Excuse me. When the thing starts, Komatsu's already looking for Toriko and comes across him, though he's wearing a different shirt. Yes, he wears a different top for this particular arc. Yeah, he puts on his like orange vest and black t-shirt. Yeah, he puts that on, and he wears it for a good chunk of the series. Well, I'm only like 22 episodes in. But from their perspective, for this particular part of the arc, yeah, it's a straight adaptation. Not much change here. They do make one change that's actually not from the manga. They actually do show the Gourmet Corps headquarters. Yep, this is something that's never shown in the manga. And I'm like, okay, this is actually a pretty smart move for the animators to do. Show the Gourmet Corps headquarters. Yep, and it's great. Of course, Tina's first introduced via TV screen, though you get a chance to see her fully in the next episode, which is an adaptation of 5 episodes, which it kind of feels like they went the JoJo's Bizarre Adventures route, where they have a bunch of chapters, more like 2 or 3 chapters an episode. Yeah, the episode 3 is an adaptation of the fruit of the Rainbow Fruit arc. Yep, which is chapters 3 to 7. Yep. And this by far was so interesting, and she actually snuck into this particular dome via a hole that Toriko made, which she's actually not in the manga, but she does make a cameo in chapter 42. I actually kind of missed it, but she does make a cameo in the manga, so she is a canon character. So kudos for the creator of the series putting her in the manga, even though she only appears for a cameo. Yep, and Apparently, she's trying to interview Toriko, and she keeps getting dragged away. Yeah, it's like the IGO. These IGO like men in black people like just don't like her interviewing Toriko for some strange reason. Yeah, but in the case of this particular arc, with the exception of her and her stuff with IGO, it's like the first episode, a pretty good adaptation of the first arc. Not much. It's very little change this one. Yep. And now it comes, and of course, the episode ends with you see him in shadow, but it's the anime debut of Coco. Of course, they do the same thing with Sunny later on, which this is probably a trait that Toei Animation used for One Piece when they introduced characters in that series. Though they only did it once. They did it with Zoro at the end of episode 1. Yeah, whenever they introduce new characters in that series who become regular characters in the actual series, yeah, they just pop up next episode. Episodes 4 through 6 is an adaptation of at least 12 chapters of the manga. Chapters 8 to 18, the Pufferware arc, which is the introduction to Coco. Yep, the one of the Heavenly Kings who is toxic. And for the most part, it's a pretty good adaptation. Not much. There's very little. This arc is also an introduction to the arrogant Gourmet Hunter, who sounds like he's voiced by Toriko, the same guy voiced Toriko. Turns out, nope, it's not voiced by Toriko. It's voiced by completely somebody. This guy's arrogant. The guy reminds me of Toriko, anyways, from the way Filmation tends to depict him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what else. Yeah, and Toriko does not fight the robot in this one. He actually fights in the manga, and in here, he sees the robot. He doesn't fight at all. And of course, Tina sees it, and Tina becomes very useful in the next arc, which at least you gotta have her there for something. And she's very useful in the next arc, anyways. And of course, I interviewed her. Of course, the IGO guys tend to steal her stuff, so they couldn't see the actual robot. And then, of course, the next arc is simply put the suggestion of bring Zebra, one of the 4 Kings who's in prison. And, well, he's not. This is the first time he's mentioned. Actually, this arc is the first time he's mentioned, but he's not seen yet. Not for a good while. Though, in case you're wondering, does the anime debut of him get dubbed? Nope, because the dub stops at episode 52. No idea why, it just does. So, yeah. Let's see. Most part, oh yeah, this arc introduced the Naki Master, who actually just played a part a little later on in the manga. And for the most part, it is done really well. It's actually a really great arc. Though it's surprisingly done in 3 episodes. Yep. Next up is the arc that takes up at least... This is the first major arc of the actual anime. And this one takes up a good chunk of this one takes up at least 11 episodes. Though in the manga it takes up chapters 19 to 54, the Regal Mammoth arc, which is when they introduce Ren and Sunny. Though Sunny, when he's introduced at the end of one of the episodes. And this is, I think, that Filmation decided, let's just throw some humor in here. Yeah, because this arc is just, like, during, like, the first part of the arc and the last part, it is just so hilarious. Though you get serious later on, like, how Sunny and Toriko basically just can't get along. It's just so funny. Especially, like, later when the 4 characters get separated. Of course, Tina's writing Terry Cloth. This is also the arc to introduce Terry Cloth. And they get separated, and Reen is, like, casting all these creatures, like, stop ruining my low time with Toriko. It is just so funny. Yeah, and she gets along with Toriko perfectly fine. And as far as I can tell from Toriko's perspective, whenever he sees Reen blushing, he doesn't have a problem with that at all. Seems like he actually kind of likes it I think he likes it that girl has a thing for him. Though in the case of Naruto, he was kind of creeped out by it whenever Hinata did to him, which is kind of weird. But in the case of this series, yeah, he has no problem with it. He gets along with Reen is not portrayed as like a weak girl. She's a very strong woman. Though Sunny basically makes a comment on her legs, like, "Man, your legs like tree trunks." This is so hilarious. The fact that you're touching him. Yeah, it turns out it's actually his little hairs is sensors. Yeah, and they do explain really well in here. Also explain gourmet cells, which is nice. And Tina, for this particular becomes the most useful, and she also debuts a new attire, which first she's like the casual, the regular reporter outfit, then she's like the pink, the adventurous outfit, the pink T-shirt, like the pink Gap T-shirt, the blue shorts, a fanny pack, some fingerless gloves. Yeah, that and of course hiking boots. That's basically pretty much her outfit when she goes out in the field, which is nice. And Manson, who the guy is awesome. Yeah, even the sub from one of the episodes I watched for the sub when he Pearson, he does pretty much the same thing. It's like, did you call me handsome, or did you say I'm a hunk? Yeah, when Reen basically says this machine is a piece of junk, he probably thinks that she thinks he's calling him a hunk. Yeah, it's so hilarious. Heck, even Tina basically calls him out like he's like, did you call me handsome? And like, no. Yeah, he does this with almost everybody. It's like Manson. Of course, the name itself is actually playing on the word handsome, which is so hilarious. And every character in this arc is portrayed to be so interesting, and you can see a little bit more of the Gourmet Corps headquarters, which is nice. Now, I should point out though, Staragent, who's actually the main villain in this arc, he actually is voiced by a guy who, believe it or not, Filmation, after he got arrested in 2015, the guy basically they canceled his contract. Now, do you know what he got arrested for? Pretty much the same thing what the creator of Ashura Kenshin got arrested for: possession of child pornography. Though he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Though he got out to be in prison for 1 year, but he was paroled after 1 year. Though he's not doing any work right now, but I actually found his voiceover work in this one actually pretty interesting. Yep. Let's see what else. Of course, of course they do kind of change the scene when somebody sees Reen when she's like injured. Yeah, in the manga, he's like standing over, he's like leaning over. It's like Reen. Yeah, at least this one they actually have a little more further away, which is a lot better. Which, yeah, it's like, oh, he's on top of her. He's like Reen, and of course souls are close. I kind of get the reason for that change. That change was fine. And of course, Tina is also the one who helps Toriko recover his strength. He's indirectly finding the jewel meat of all things. First, he gives some of the jewel meat juice, and then of course he eats some of the jewel meat, becomes super strong, and defeats Staragent. Yeah, which is really nice. And after that arc is finished up, of course they also eat the jewel meat. Of course, Tina takes him home with her, and Toriko takes Terraclop with him, and of course jumps ahead like 2 weeks later, which just like in the manga, 2 weeks later. And for the most part, this arc pretty much proceeds the same. Well, in the case of Toriko and Terraclop's role. But they added stuff for Komatsu to do. Yeah, he actually gets a role in this arc, which in the manga he doesn't. He only shows up like briefly, like one cameo at the beginning, and then he shows up briefly at the end. And Reen, same thing with her. Her, Sunny, and Coco shows up for one panel cameo, doesn't show up again. Here, they actually give him something to do. Reen actually has lines in this one. In the manga, she has no lines in this arc at all. I mean, pretty much she's gone back to work, basically, where she's just a beast tamer. Yep. So, let's see, what else? Yeah, they go with BB Corn. Of course, they introduced the character Genpatch. That's his name, right? Yeah. Grimpatch, voiced by Chris Roger, which I heard his voice like, man, this voice sounds so familiar. And I looked up, like, I was right. It was the same guy who voiced Arlong from One Piece, though he's also known for voicing Hercule from DBZ, which is nice. Because Filmation loves for using DBZ actors. Anybody can notice that because of their frequent work. Yep. Let's see what else. Yeah, I don't remember this guy from the actual arc. It's like this guy just popped up out of nowhere. It's like, yeah, if I remember the manga, it's like a pretty quick arc. Yeah, the arc itself, the BB arc, which is only 3 episodes in the anime. Yeah, it's only actually it's 5 episodes. It only takes up chapters 55 to 60, which is only like just 8 chapters. It's a pretty quick arc for what it is, but mostly put, it's pretty faithful, with the exception with with the addition of some filler stuff with the whole thing with Tomatsu and Tina. And of course, Sunny actually does something in here as well. Flies his beautiful copter, which he somehow got from the IGO Biodome 1. Yeah, he got it from that. Of course, they also talk about in here briefly one of the episodes of how the human world is like a small world and the gourmet world is like surrounding it. Yeah, which, there you go, at least got to appreciate expansion of the mythology of Toriko, which is nice. Though it doesn't kind of explain how in the world he meets up with Luffy. Yeah, how the universes work is kind of bizarre, but I think the reason why I do these crossovers is just for pure fun. Yeah, that's probably the reason why I did all 3 crossovers One Piece. Yeah, for the most part, that's really it. Good 7 episodes. Though starting episode 2, it gets dubbed up until episode 50, skips 51, and of course last episode is 52, which has started the Milk Stardust arc, which I'll get to that probably in part 3. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for part 2, which I'll talk about in the next part. I'll talk about episodes 23 through 48, which those arcs are the Century Soup, Gourmet King Design Battle, which is a filler, and Ozone Herb arc. Yep, I'm going to cover 3 arcs in the next part. Yeah, this one only covered like the first 5 arcs that was depth from the manga. Yep. So until I see you on the next episode, bye.